Okay, so hello everybody, let us start. My name is MYKOLAS. I'm a teacher here at the university and I will be moderating our session. Our session is actually devoted to technology-enhanced teaching and learning processes and effective online communication. And today we have 3 presenters in our section. Each of you will have about 15 minutes to deliver your presentation and about 5 minutes for questions if there are any. And our first presenter is LILLE. She is a representative of Vilnius University, and her presentation is called Online Collaborative Writing Tools for Learning English as a Foreign Language. So, Natalia, the stage is yours. I will ask you to share your screen.
Thank you.
Okay. For your kind assistance and moderation.
Super.
Okay, so I'm going to share the screen with my slides, and I would be so glad if you confirmed whether you can see anything there. Okay, let me come back to sharing button. Okay, is everything okay? Can you see the slides? I'm going to expand them. What about the audience at the other end? Is everything okay? At least one yes?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wonderful. Okay, so as Agla mentioned, I'm Natalia, and I'm so delighted to open the second part of the conference where everything evolves on the same topic, digital technology in relation to language teaching, and I was so amazed to see how different angles it can be analyzed or looked at. So as I'm a lecturer at Vilnius University and also an English teacher at a public school in Vilnius, so my research will be related to K-12 settings, specifically related to writing skills via online collaborative tools. So those who are educators in the field, or let's say interested in pre-service teaching, I think you might find some good practical ideas. Okay, so I'd like to start from a hint a bit, what these letters might mean today. Well, as in front of us here is, I would say, according to Lithuanian terms, boiling weather. So I wish these letters would turn, well, B, let's say, bathroom, or Z, zero work, and C, Cyprus. But today, actually, these letters would stand for 3 online collaborative tools, namely Bytable.com, Zio, and BritPad. I was also surprised to see there is a database of tools created, and I wonder whether these tools will be also included. I am so interested, and I will do my research on that as well. So today I will present some empirical evidence here and a bit of practical guidance to spice up maybe your teaching methodology if you like. So why exactly writing together with collaboration and use of technology? So my answer would be very simple here, as it is clearly seen from Beer's classification of 21st century skills. I wanted to develop my students' 21st century skills, modern let's say, expectations that are going to be, I'd say, expected when they enter the labor market. So this is one of the main goals. And of course, another goal was to echo now updated generic program that is going to be soon released in Lithuania, which also includes competences like technology and collaboration a lot. So I try to see whether it works. So this is the reason, and now let me start from the very first app, which is called Bytable.com. And you might wonder, how is it related to writing when it is actually video maker? And one of the definitions here is that yes, you need to access browser, you need to create and make a video. But as you can see from many effects there, like images or multimedia or music, you also use text or you make a script. So this was my goal, to pay attention whether students can deal with that text and other elements while making a final product. So the purpose of that research exactly with this app was to see how students evaluate the app, whether they find it useful for learning vocabulary, because I wanted, or my focus was more on language rather than, that video itself. And what happened here, so I was able to gather 28 students, 20 of whom were 10th graders and 8 9th graders, so in total 28 students, where I was the teacher as well. And my school where I'm teaching, Engineering Lyceum of Vilnius Gediminas Technical University. And we had only 2 lessons for that, to make a video where they used this particular app with a focus on vocabulary. Now, you might also ask, why exactly this app? Well, the answer is also, come on in, please, thank you. A simple one, because of a simpler interface. Although there are alternative video makers proposed by Bauer and Torrington, who released the recent typology on free web-based learning technologies, and there is Kizoya and Movie. But I did my research and I went into Kizoya interface, and what I noticed are just here on your left to right, you can see a range of functions, available. And I thought it might be a bit too much for my students to deal with just within 2 lessons. So I looked at Biteable, and there are only 4 buttons. So I thought, well, that might be something I need. And that's why I used this particular app for my research. So what I wanted my students to do, I wanted them to collaboratively make a script so that they can make a book or film trailer at the end. It should have 1 minute length, and with one limitation, there should be 8 words included. Me as a teacher, always, nagging, wanting something more than just a creation of something nice. So let's take a look how my students evaluated that practice. What I did at the very end of all the demonstrations of videos, I spread some kind of questionnaire where I wondered what benefits and drawbacks they see of this particular app while learning vocabulary. Now, if we looked at the results, at least figures suggest that we succeeded. On average, each group, they worked in teams, or were able to make a video of 1 minute and used 7 or 6 words. So almost the goal reached. But I was not satisfied with only this answer. I wanted them to explain what exactly these found as a benefit here. My hypothesis was that there will be more emphasis on entertaining factor, that they will just enjoy a lot. But I was wrong. To my joy, as you can see, 59% of them confirmed that they actually learned something. They liked learning vocabulary in this way, and only then entertainment was in the 2nd place or the 3rd place, 2nd place here, yeah. So as you can see, I put my students' responses into 5 categories when it comes to benefits there, yeah. Now, I may show you some reasons, what they specified, what they meant by vocabulary benefits. So one thing that they emphasized, that it is an easier way to retain it when they can, have their own context built, because they had to choose their own idea of what film or what book they want to promote, let's say. And they can also remember them with these associations they have included in their film. So that was one of the reasons why it worked for them. Another thing that they emphasized, that actually they could finally understand the meaning, because when they had to construct statement in that particular video, they had to question whether it is really what we want to say. And that was their job to do, and I was so happy to see that they put effort in that, which is usually not possible when I just wanted them to write in the notebook. They usually don't do that too much or don't pay attention. And finally, this is what I expected. They also emphasized that there is a lot of fun in that they liked working exactly by making or statements, let's say, in this way rather than in the notebook. Okay, so to have balance here, I would like you also to take a look at the flip side of this. As for challenges, we should return again to some limitations there. So what they emphasized, as we can see, are that time restriction here was one of obstacles there. Now, what exactly they meant, you will see later that I think that was my fault a bit, because I gave very short instruction of how this app works. Approximately tutorial of 5 minutes, because they work or they study in that engineering lyceum where they are surrounded by a lot of apps, and I thought, well, they will take everything with these. It doesn't work. So this was my kind of lesson to me. And another thing they emphasized, as you can see, that there were a lot of complaints still about the interface. Even though I thought it's easier, it was not that easy when they started working within 2 lessons time. Now, there is an explanation. They usually, when they answered, there was mixture that, we were short of time and we didn't enjoy this video making process when we were in a hurry. So this was one of the complaints. So as a teacher now, I know that I have to let them experiment this video maker minimum for 20 minutes so that they really know how it works, and maybe only then to delve deeper into this task itself. So this is what I learned. And another, of course, complaint was word limit. Those who were lower proficiency students, they found it quite challenging, to specifically target that word I gave or that list that I gave them. And some of them worked it or did it to such extent that some statements were a bit without any sense, just because teacher wants this word to be used, so it's a bit tricky. And the same word limit also was a barrier to those who were higher proficiency level, because they wanted to show more. And all of a sudden they were restricted to use this vocabulary I wanted. So you as a teacher need to navigate so that you encourage them to work, towards this or that aspect while using vocabulary. So this was their evaluation. And if we could conclude at least about this app, here is that they find it beneficial for vocabulary memorization or building associations and mediating the meanings more precisely and being creative there. But we as teachers should take into account that maybe computers at school might be not that fast to deal with everything here. Maybe mobile phones would be better then to replace them. And for them to enjoy quality content rather than just, the use of wording, you as a teacher need to give them more time, most probably, and maybe make as a project rather than just 2 lesson practice. Now I had, so I learned the lesson. Okay, I need to use mobile phone and I need to expand time on instruction. So what I did next, I used another app with a bit other class, and I will show you soon. But if you are interested, I may show you how Bitable.com video looks like when they created it. Would you like to see at least one? Okay, so I'm going to show one of the pairs group. Okay, so they were romantic ladies creating or promoting this particular trailer. So if you haven't read this book, I hope you will. Okay, so let's continue now with that idea into account, what happens when I give more time for instruction and let's say a bit different, with a bit different focus on learning. So this time I used ZEO, and I targeted 5th graders, lower graders. And the ZEO is basically fake social media simulator, where students can make posts or chats, depending on what they choose. Either it's Facebook, or either it's Instagram or TikTok or anything they want. So in our case, I asked them to develop a messenger app, chat together in pairs, and they had freedom to choose their free time topic. But as a teacher, I also wanted to see whether they know how to use present simple and present continuous tense. So this was also said clearly. So I wanted them to show this mixture and see how it looks like. So now I'm going to again illustrate a bit how it looked like. So there is Padlet, where they inserted all the outcomes, but before they did so, I left an instruction. And as you can see, I clearly showed my criteria, what I mean by present simple and present continuous, what things I expect from them. Another thing, I also referred to the length, how long it should be. And finally, something that is related to digital communication. I wanted them to be aware of emojis and pictures that they can insert within that topic. And here we had a discussion, by the way. There was a moment where we also discussed politeness or etiquette rules. What is expected for them to discuss and not? Because there were cases when some students take risk and make jokes that might be a bit offensive. So we discussed this moment here as well before we had the work done. Now, another thing that I did, I also added a modal answer, modal chat, how I expect them to make the final work here. And now there is the example, only one class. So we had a mixture, by the way, of pair work and individual work. Because there were cases where, since it was 2 lesson time again, so some of them were absent and that's why they had to work alone. Usually it happens in classes, but we were able to make 4, let's say in one class, 4 groups. Yeah, as you can see, they were able to make everything according to the criteria, more or less. They succeeded there. If we look at the product itself, now I was also interested how they felt about that. We teachers might have that illusion that everything is fine because I have a product. So now let's take a look, just briefly, what they were in response there. So I got 16 answers, at least from my 5th graders here. What benefits and drawbacks they saw in there. And this time we can clearly see they claimed they didn't learn too much in terms of grammar. So it was quite difficult for them because some of them even had to rewrite. So the first stage, what we did, I corrected their chats. I gave them feedback, and then they had to redo it once again. But what was interesting, they were willing to redo it, to rewrite it. Usually when I have the task done in the notebook, they don't rewrite. They hate it. So I got a very good message that whenever it is online, they don't refuse to rewrite text. Another thing that they admitted that they learned how to use an app. And even mobile phones, because there were some students who didn't know how to deal with their downloaded files in there. So they even got to know their mobile phones there. And the last thing, what was the main emphasis here was motivation. They, even though they didn't learn grammar, they said that we liked it anyway. It was okay. Now, as for the drawbacks, we can see that one student was a bit angry because he had to rewrite not 1-7. That was a situation. So, and why, by the way, that was also the complaint about the interface. They told me that basically the problem was not easy to type. Even though it was on the mobile phone, it seems it was not easy. And some of them said maybe computers would have been better. Some of them said that I know a better app for this. So I could know that they are quite digitally literate in that point. So as we can see, at least as for this app, it was not too much efficient in terms of grammar learning, but maybe consolidation of it, yes. But they were willing or more likely to rewrite the text, which for me as a teacher is good news. And it let or gave some room for personalization, because some stronger students could put their focus on vocabulary, if not grammar there, and they were motivated to learn. What I also liked, they had some better understanding on netiquette rules, what I expect them to write in terms of content. Although there was still one group who discussed how to sell grandmother. So as you know, it also happens. So you always need to talk about these things. So now what about computers? So as I said, this time students wanted computers rather than mobile phones. So you never know what is better. You need always to test it. So now the final thing I want to share would be, so once I have this into account, my latest discovery was this app, which is called CryptPad. And I will show this time only from my perspective, only teacher's perspective, what I see as a potential here. I did no pilot study on it with my students to get their feedback, but from their product, I can say that it may work in a quite successful way. So what CryptPad is about? Basically, it's an alternative to Google Drive document, Word document. But the thing is that you need no instruction as a teacher, because you just put a code for them to scan and they instantly access it with their mobile phones, and they can write in there and type everything they want. So what I wanted them to do, at least in this case, my 9th graders, senior ones, to include infinitive and gerund, again, grammar, while making a collaborative dialogue. Okay, again, putting grammar in their own context. So if I can open the example, it looks like this. So as you can see, it's kind of a Word document with the same toolbar that everyone knows. And here is my short instruction, and the rest is my students' work. While they are working, I can see everything. I can see follow all that ongoing process. You know, this is one of the things that, you know, they can highlight ideas that they made or included, as we can see here. But I liked 2 more extensions that for me as teacher, let's say, let or allow to know more about students' work. So one thing, I can communicate with them. So this is one of the extensions there that I, as a teacher, if I see there is something wrong, or if I see there is amazingly nice thing mentioned, I can praise or, you know, write a warning. Another thing, since it's collaborative work, I am wondering whether there is fair share. Yes, you never know. Maybe it's one person who is writing that. I have a trick. So here is file and history, and I can see the proportion of their work. There is still one student working more than other. Yeah. And when you click, you can see progress, what was changed, what was done, you know, and so on. So we can later discuss, you know, why there was such a reason that one person was writing. Were they both discussing, but just deciding to write from one person's perspective? What exactly happened here? So this is why I like this particular app, and I would encourage teachers to experiment. And the last thing, it is easy to show on the screen, as you can see. So we can discuss later the products, whether they succeeded. And I remember someone, maybe Anik at the beginning, who started or opened our conference, mentioned that teenagers usually like seeing achievements clearly. So this is what usually happens during the lesson. Well, this would bring my presentation to an end, and my final remarks would be that while maybe not all apps would be too much sufficient or efficient for L2 acquisition, you know, it happens, but they would definitely have positive effect if it does, particularly for senior groups or senior students. Another good news is that it enables students to be more motivated and interested in the learning, language learning. They would like it. They have their own context where they can recognize these particular structures or vocabulary that they deal with or they are dealing with. And finally, they gain more competence into digital literacy. They finally know that mobile phone has such a simple thing as finding a file that I downloaded, you know, or how to communicate there that I wouldn't be that offensive. So this is about citizenship, or digital citizenship, as we call it. Well, so if you let me now, I would wrap my presentation up with a quote by George Couros, who said, "Technology is not just a tool. It can give learners a voice that they may not have had before." So, dear teachers, I would encourage you to give that our platform for their written or verbal voice, because they will most probably show more than we expect. So that is it. Give that voice, and I pass my mic to someone else, I guess. Thank you for listening. Unless you have questions, of course.
Thank you, Natalia, so much. Let us ask our audience if they have questions related to the presentation.
Maybe one question. And about your last hack, so is it real alternative to Google Docs or something?
Sort of. The only
function missing?
there are a lot of functions. By the way, it's not only Word document. If we could look at other possibilities, there might be even spreadsheet or PowerPoint. I tried, by the way, some kind of whiteboard possibility, but it was not too much convenient via mobile phone. So the most convenient feature here was exactly the Word document that worked in my classroom. So that's why I showed it. But basically, it's, yes, as Google Drive, the only difference is that you don't need any account. Although you can't create it also. Like maybe even making a class if you wish, but it would take more time. There will be, you know, again, privacy moments. So it's better for me to use this, but you need to memorize the link then to put it somewhere in your collection, because it would not be saved anywhere. You have to always put these links into, let's say I usually send it to my email or have one document where I add these links.
And it works only as an app, or can you use it in the computer?
Yeah, on browser. I usually,
okay.
I use it on browser. Exactly.
Any more questions? The remarks? Okay, so if no, so probably we'll give stage to our next presenters who will be presenting online, and I will invite Silvia Arapa and Mariana Pereira from Portugal to deliver their presentation called Developing an Interactive Pedagogical Guide for Language Teaching, Data Visualization to Enhance Teaching Practices. And I will ask Mariana to share your presentation.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can. Can you make it full screen?
Isn't full screen? Are you seeing full screen? No.
Yes. We see it. It's okay for you.
Well, that's on our side. That should be expanded. Here, that's the best she can do.
Are you?
Shall I do something?
Yes, you can. Up there.
Can someone help me, because I don't know how to expand it. But is it okay for you? Can you see?
Are you seeing the slides in full screen or my other window?
We can see it, Marina.
Okay.
Okay, probably you can start presenting again.
So me and Professor Silvia are presenting the work developing an interactive pedagogical guide for language teaching. The roadmap of this presentation regards on some aspects of DIAL4U project. I will talk a little about the DIAL4U project, but I think all of you have heard a lot about today. So during the COVID-19 pandemic context, this project arrives, and with the goal to transform the educational landscaping in this transaction between the face-to-face teaching and learning language to online environment, and how to deal with this new context. So here I am present the aim of this work that we developed with University Home First. Our aim is to build a guide that could facilitate the evolution of teaching and training online for foreign languages. And this guide would be a multimodal guide, and we would have content from different sources. So the significance of this work, the relevance of this work lies in the potential to support language teaching and the changing needs of teachers and learners in a technology-driven world, provide language teachers with necessary skills and guidance. We strive to improve the quality of online teachers with necessary skills. And guidance into communication language acquisition. By bringing together resources, research, and pedagogical expertise, we aim to create a comprehensive and innovative pedagogical guide that addresses the problem of this transaction between face-to-face to online environment. The pedagogical guide. We can summarize our pedagogical guide as some having an overview of some parameters. We would like that this guide would be a dynamic guide, so the users could, through clicks, interact with the content. Would be an immersive visual, so the users will feel like they are engaged with that content, and would be intuitive and audience-oriented. So the dynamic of the usage of this guide fosters engagement and personalization, comprehension, and motivation the users to continue to discover knowledge. How do you present this vast amount of information that would be in this guide with these parameters that we would like to present? So we have done a research about the best visualization that is the solution for this problem, and we arrived to a HDL3 solution. HDL3 is a type of visualization that is adequate to hierarchical information. Hierarchical information, so this kind of information can have a clear structure and is easy to navigate, and improving the discovery of knowledge for users. So this is the final visual of the guide. Here you can see the guide, and here and the interface of the web page with the HDL3 visualization, already making usage of the information that was developed in this partnership between University of MINHO and University Home First. And here the guidelines for the interface layout. The interface layout is, we thought about a framework that could promote a clear communication of the content that was in the guide, intuitive navigation, and an easy comprehension of this information. And the main goal of all this is to be user-friendly, so people would be scared to explore the information that was on the web page. This way, the web page is basically two columns, one column with the visualization and another column with the content. And here the column with the content have some specifications about the content. The publications, the videos, and the podcasts are linked with the clicks that the user you do on the visualization, and always you have a title and an explanation about the content that the user is navigating. Here is another approach to the same content. so the user can have an overview in the home page. And if he needs an approach more detailed of the information, he can go to these branches where he can see each branch of the radial tree visualization in a vertical tree. So here the information is more detailed and more focused, with the same structure of 2 columns. The content of the pedagogical guide, in how to display this content. What does the pedagogical guide actually contain? The content of this guide relies in 2 different types of content. Content created by thirds, like the other universities, other language teachers or language centers, and content creators, or created by the partners of the Dial4U Consortium. And this content is spread by the 6 steps that we explained in our previous presentations, that these 6 steps is designed to help users to design their course and to go easily step by step and design a language class or a language lesson to a specific public. Other resources that helps users to navigate through this content is the podcast. I think a lot of you here were invited to record podcasts. These podcasts have as this content as the main information, content regarding how to conduct a class, content regarding these online classes and how to conduct these online classes. And it's recorded in diverse, not only in English, but in the language, in the mother tongue of each partner, if he would like or she would like, or the language that they prefer. And we have also a map of experts, that is the location of each person that recorded podcasts and where this person is located in the map. And it's an interactive map also. So the conclusion of this work, we can see here that our guide is an interactive guide and have a lot of information that is multimodal and help users to navigate through this transaction between on face-to-face teaching and learning to online environment. Our next step would be a test with the users to see if this information and this interface satisfies them. So here are the references, and thank you.
Here. Mariana, I probably did not hear what I just told because I was muted. So I just wanted to thank you for your presentation, and I invited the audience to ask some questions, but obviously there are no.
There was one online. Yes, for a question.
Okay, so we'll come back just in a second. Of course, sorry, I will just minimize it and allow you, of course.
But I can't read the mail there.
You cannot hear anything on behalf of the speaker in the room. Okay.
Oh, that's Joanna.
They can't hear us, can they?
It is okay now. We had issues hearing before.
Right. Okay, so such a pity, but Mariana, we heard you perfectly well. And now let's hope that Okay, that Veronica, she will be here as well. And will you start sharing the presentation too?
Yes, I will do that right now.
Here, share. And then window, and window.
Yeah,
And your presentation.
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. All participants online, can you see Veronica sharing her presentation?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So Veronica, the
Yes,
stage
I will
is
just
yours.
stand up. Is it okay? Can they see me if I stand? I wonder. My presentation is also connected to the Dial4U project, so it seems to be the red thread, the reason we are here. And I'm going to streamline it a bit due to the delay we have had. But the first thing that I would like to say is the fact that this presentation features a slice of the Dial4U IO1 deliverable package, and that slice is connected to politeness in effective online communication, and the practical inputs are drawn from both qualitative and quantitative information that we have had from more than I believe there were 102 on the Romania side, and respectively different numbers from all our project partners. Why is it necessary to have a presentation on politeness? I get that question a lot. So I would like to speak about the context itself and what type of academic context we have had to deal with. And when I use we, I mean all of us, all 8 countries, and the context is quite important again. Pragmatic politeness within a social and emotional learning framework. This is how we categorized it. We have not talked about linguistic politeness. We have not talked about linguistic manifestations of politeness only, even though they are important as well, because we teach foreign languages, but we have categorized it as an element under social and emotional learning, an element that tends to get a lot of importance in recent research. And this is what we're going to talk about under 2. I have selected 4 constructs that I would like to insist a little bit on, and they are listed under 3. E-face, face work, rapport, impression management. There are many more, but for today's presentation, I have chosen to shed a little bit more light on them from the point of view of our purpose here. What type of challenges have there been in terms of being pragmatically polite in computer-mediated communication, and a little bit of info, more information, more detailed information on the Dial4U Online Politeness Toolkit, which is actually the element number 4 in the deliverable package, alongside the book creator, the metacognitive toolkit, the handouts for the students, and here comes the politeness toolkit. Quite a long introduction, but I'm going to move on. The academic context was quite interesting to be a part of. I'm not going to mention COVID again, but it is rooted in COVID. Our project is rooted in COVID. We had the purpose of being active within the foreign language instruction field and mediate content through apps and tools. The realities were totally different from one country to another, starting from the degree of technological competence and digital activation of all these apps and tools within certain practical contexts. So it was quite a good practice scenario to be part of this Dial4U project. We learned a lot from our partners. I would also like to mention the fact that a caring and learner-centered framework is what provides pragmatical politeness with a reason for being introduced on the discussion table. There are various challenges ranging from this decision. Limited technical support and training. We're going to get back to this a little bit later. There was a need to redesign academic content and also the assessment associated with it. Throughout the project development, the Common European Framework of Reference started to change as well. There are elements being changed in terms of how communicative achievement is assessed. And interestingly enough, our project caters to that change. We also focus on redesigning academic content within social and emotional learning frameworks. As far as our university was concerned, and not only, there was a lack of effective comprehensive frameworks to support online learner engagement and academic achievement, and also the intricacies of activating effectively in multimodal environments on the part of instructors and on the part of learners. My colleague speaking before about high school students' experience has spoken about the need of providing a stakeholder-based approach. So we had the request to keep it practical, to keep it hands-on, despite the fact that the toolkit also provides theoretical frameworks and theoretical explanations. I think that we have managed to give it also a hands-on type of approach. What is pragmatic politeness within social and emotional framework? What is it exactly? What are we talking about? Well, on the left side of this slide, I have included one of the most iconic definitions provided in 2004. And I'm just going to run through it. The process of developing one's ability to integrate thinking, feeling, and behavior in order to achieve important goals in life. The World Economic Framework, the World Economic Forum has also built on this explanation, talking about 21st competencies, 21st century competencies. So this definition is also related to what type of enhancement of learners' cognitive ability is there. And we have tried to regulate language production, language proficiency, emotional intelligence, and intercultural sensitivity development by focusing on this aspect. So pragmatic politeness would be connected to the way we relate to digital content by applying certain face work practices. Digital media are rapidly changing, and our face work practices are changing in the sense that we no longer communicate face-to-face only, and nonverbal cues and nonverbal support cues are not there anymore. Contextualize the conscious decisions that are made in order to digitally project, maintain, save, and enhance face or self-image. This is what pragmatic politeness is. In other words, how appropriately effective am I in a communicative context in my decisions to project a certain self-image that is read by someone else in their own way. So there's always the negotiation of face, of self-image in any communicative instance we have. Focus on pragmatic politeness can improve both oral and written performance, as well as one's online identity and presence. And because of the fact that we have already talked about the framework, I'm not going to stop on all these references, but I would like to mention the fact that in 2015, there has been a major development within the field of SEL, social and emotional learning, and the connection with politeness, in the sense that it has been listed under emotional competencies. So all of a sudden, it has a name under categorization that can be listed in terms of levels of achievement, how emotional competent are you from a pragmatic pragmatic politeness standpoint. I would like to move on by talking a little bit about pragmatic politeness. There are many global practices and multiple conceptualizations of face. The fact is that because of this renegotiation of interactional norms through analysis of verbal and multimodal indices of face work, you can go across platforms and languages. So there are observations in terms of how face is being negotiated in a respective culture and what the reasons are for that type of face projection and negotiation. Understanding the workings of face in online discourse as a locus of factic communication, meaning socially focused, chit-chatting, having a conversation that is informal. And also the evil side of that in social networks such as Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, the verbal aggression, the other side of the coin. When you project a certain face that is interpreted by others as being evil, as being aggressive, and hence causing problems. I have already mentioned the fact that we talk about face as self-image. It stands at the core of our toolkit. We also provide information in terms of why it is bidirectional. Pragmatic politeness and negotiation of face happens in collaboration. So because of this, we have introduced in our toolkit explanations. What does pragmatic politeness include in terms of key terms, key constructs? In our LTTA2 activity in Cluj in March, we have had a workshop where we use apps and tools to test how they react to all these constructs in a very practical way. I would like to state the fact that in terms of how they they have reacted really well. Students have reacted really well. There was a Padlet activity where they had to speak about what type of self-image, what type of face they project, how they see themselves using certain adjectives, nouns, verbs. And then the comments came from their partners, from their peers, validating or contradicting that type of image. And it was interesting to see how intelligent they are in constructing an identity that is perceived as being true or not by their peers. These are explained in the toolkit, not only in a theoretical way, but also in a pragmatic way by including these activities that we have done. This is the CASTELLON model of social and emotional learning, and pragmatic politeness is slowly being categorized under relationship skills, competencies if they are more advanced, self-awareness and self-management competencies. So we connected the two. We gave the framework, the general umbrella term, and then pragmatic politeness is included. Our colleagues in IO3 have also included it under one branch of self-awareness and self-management in their work. I did say that I would streamline the presentation. This is the comment that is listed here belongs to Miriam Locker in 2010, when she has made a contribution to a special issue on politeness and impoliteness in computer-mediated communication, listing it as essential for foreign language instruction. So the reason I'm showing you this is connected to the fact that in 2010, this discussion took place, and it was about computer-mediated communication and how, because of this transition from face-to-face to CMC, computer-mediated, there are new types of approaches to the way we relate to each other. Face work would represent this type of negotiation between my face and your face, and what we do as language instructors to enhance their skills in being good, effective orally and in writing. So this is the last part that I would like us to refer to would be some practical conclusions from our toolkit. I can't really move away from this without stating who is responsible in the theory of pragmatic politeness for the construct of face. Back in 1967, mind you, Irving Goffman, who has spoken about the positive social value a person effectively claims for himself or herself. And the second part is what always turns this close around to both users. By the line, others assume he has taken during a particular contact. And then there was Brown and Levinson, 1987, positive face, negative face, and the face-threatening acts. So what are face-threatening acts? Any act that would make someone react to a comment, to a compliment, to any type of interaction. Positive face is our need to be appreciated by others. Negative face is our need to stay independent and to preserve the status quo. All of us need that. We need to be appreciated and we need to be independent and autonomous. Our students need it too. Hence, the face work discussion and how we deal with face-threatening acts. Because it's really the core interest here is to present the type of challenges that we have actually observed. I would say that it's obvious from the qualitative and quantitative research we have done with all our 8 partners, the fact that there is insufficient awareness on the part of language learners and instructors as to what the benefits of including politeness elements in the foreign language instruction. They simply did not know or were not aware that this is a marketing tool that you project an image for the benefit of yourself and for the benefit of others, and it can be listed under good discourse management, good communicative achievement, and even we have even tried to include it within our university and my faculty as part of oral discourse assessment. So limited resources available that teach pragmatic competence, and that's why we are lucky and happy to have provided all our learners with the politeness toolkit, and of course lack of a well-articulated methodological framework that supports DNC. Because of the light, you can't see very well, but this is one glimpse into their answer. By their answer, I mean this time it's the teachers that have spoken about the challenges themselves. We have had one for each country, and these are some of them. Time management, plagiarism in exams, maintaining communication channels open, cameras on, cameras off all the time. Every country has both, and you can't really draw a conclusion as to what should be done next. Should we keep it on? Should we keep it off? If it is off, what type of self-image projection do you have in terms of genuinely being able to get it? This is, I have already presented this under IO1. The idea was to have it made available to both learners and instructors. I wanted to also have a link here, but I can't see it right now. Politeness questions for students would be a series of 35 questions where they are actually checking boxes under certain elements that would make them more prepared why don't you turn your camera off? And then you've got the answers. To what extent do you think that preparation is key before you deliver a presentation? So by checking these, and I'm going to probably be able to open it. I hope I will be. It would, yeah. Maybe if I just copy paste it, do you think that should work? I don't know if it works. I can't really do that.
You want to copy this one?
Yeah, I would like to show it just a little bit. No, we can't. Maybe I have it. Yeah, it's okay. So I will try to get back to it right at the end to show you a collection.
If you go from full screen and to the smaller version.
Do you think so? Okay. I think you're right. This could work. Okay. I don't know if I didn't. Okay. Here you go.
Oh, okay. This is the one that you. Okay.
I don't know if the ones online can actually see it right now. But the idea was that we have prepared certain questions that would enable them to react prior to the oral or written communication sequence, during, and as post-reflection after the communication sequence has taken place. And there are questions ranging from netiquette, related behaviors and attitudes, to more complex issues such as anxiety when you speak. Have I made appropriate notes to control that? This is also self-image management. Am I aware that there is a time limit or a word limit to the input? And these are listed under useful questions under the handout that students get to use. Whereas the online politeness toolkit is offered through the Dial4You project to instructors as well. And it contains information on all theoretical aspects, case studies, the results we have had. I'm trying to see whether the ones online are actually able to hear us. Do you think they can? Yes, I think they can, right? Can you hear us?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, I'm going to move on. So we have heard about the questionnaire that we have used prior to my presentation. There was an in-service teacher questionnaire and there was a student questionnaire, 8 participant Dial4You countries, qualitative, quantitative interpretation of data, quite a lot of it. Professor Yvon has chosen this question. Oh, that should have been round. It sounds, it looks kind of oval right now. It must be the heat. Have you felt communication-related anxiety when teaching online? And this was the teachers, the instructors response, 64.4. And if yes, what was it connected to? Was it student-related? Was it teaching style related? Was it about technical aspects? As you can see, 55 answers, 70%, 70.5 related this anxiety to technical aspects. And hence, book creator becomes a golden tool, obviously one of them, or face work related strategies become the answer to maybe the teaching style related, because we also as instructors may use such approaches in presenting our own self-image making the type of compromises that are needed. This is actually a representation of, I think, Sweden. And they have listed some of their concerns here related to anxiety. And also the ones in yellow, always switching on the webcam. That would be one piece of advice that would solve the issue of anxiety. So it's about internal and external motivation, turning on your camera, switching it off. These are also included in our Dial for You project. Per country. There is an infographic where both challenges but also answers to these challenges are provided. And the infographics, I think, will be available for being accessed by external stakeholders as well. Have you felt somewhat judged by your students in the online environment? Another interesting question that instructors have been asked. This is the Romania-related call. There are a lot of qualitative data answers that show the fact that anxiety is also perceived by instructors. And let's take a look at one of them only. I often felt I was not doing enough or not using enough innovative apps or tools in my class. I'm not as technologically savvy as my other colleagues are. And then, so the question is mirrored with the students' answers. And we have correlations between the two in terms of anxiety-related issues. The point I would like to make next would be connected to what we can do to manage this self-image and this phase. There are positive politeness strategies, negative politeness strategies, and off-record politeness strategies. Positive politeness would be, so there are some examples there. They would be all these strategies we use in order to show that we care about our interlocutor's positive face, to be appreciated, to feel that they matter, that they have a say. And negative politeness strategies are employed when we want to project the status, when we want to protect the status quo, and we want the others to feel independent and autonomous. Off-record politeness strategies are used when we want to be vague, when we want to ditch the subject, and we would rather not be direct. I'm not going to stop on all of them, but these are the ones that were actually mentioned by our respondents more often. Based on our questions, we have drawn the conclusion that strategies used to manage threats to others faced from the 8 countries participants in our Dial for You project would be discretion, white lies, joking, irony and sarcasm, approbation when you give a lot of qualified praise, solidarity, fact, explanations. Yes, I'm going to wrap it up. Also, strategies used to manage threats to your own face, to our own face. They are listed here: overcompensation, apology, diminishing. When applied correctly, they qualify our communication on the part of instructors, on the part of learners. And I have also wanted to present this to you today as in a nutshell type of a conclusion. Why is it important and what type of stages should there be? First, the theoretical part, when you tell them what it is about, why it is important. Marketing yourself, how you talk about strategies and what type of weaknesses and strengths could be associated with, for instance, apologizing or compromising. And then reflection and self-assessment, which could take the form of a written learner diary as well, or oral explanations. The conclusions would be, to our mind, the fact that pragmatic politeness has a paramount role. It has become more and more important in recent years. especially in technologically enhanced communication. There are facework strategies that have become a tool, and they represent ways of negotiating one's identity for mutual benefits. They intertwine at discourse level and in terms of attitudes. They transcend, politeness transcends cultural, national, and individual constraints, and this is amazing. It has a human value that is universal, but at the same time, it has certain idiosyncrasies that are particular to respective cultures. It's a social and emotional glue that supports communicative bridges, and the Dialogue for Your Online Politeness Toolkit is a tool that raises awareness and provides valuable content to its users across cultures. Both documents can be accessed. They can be definitely used in the future. And the questions that are listed here are questions that language instructors could pose themselves. The one that I would single out as my ending remark would be, how do users strike a necessary balance between their local idiosyncratic context and the degree of context collapse that is characteristic of a faceless multimodal environment? How do you strike a balance between the two? Thank you for your attention, and a cloak of visibility, making a comparison or a reference to Harry Potter's cloak. Politeness kind of gives you visibility. The loops are there. I have it on, and I'm becoming more visible. These are all, constructs that we have used today, and I just placed them on one slide. Thank you.
We lost time because it was very interesting.
We exceeded the time limit here.
Yeah, and do we have any questions, Veronica? Here, or our participants online, probably you have some. If no, then thank you, Veronica, so much, and thank you all the presenters so much. And I'd like to remind that they talked about we had a table booked at Greenhill House Restaurant, and I will write you a letter reminding the booth and the details, okay? So thank you so much. Now, probably you must have well-deserved coffee downstairs, okay?
The last one that we had, future perspective.
Sorry?
Is there still a session at the end of wrap-up with Annick?
I think so.
Right now, or
right now? No, probably. I will check the. She did say that there would be one right after the session, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So probably. Okay, so I will.
But just
probably
for the people online to know if they check back to the other teams.
Program. For today's Okay, then.
That's very cool.
After those presentations, online participants probably should follow this link, because Annick is given a presentation as well, yeah? So probably we have to come back to room 414, and online participants, you should follow the link, which is given, the time was 15:40 to 16, but yeah, the time has changed, so probably follow that link. So thank you for the attention, and probably we'll disconnect. Yeah. Thank you.